I walk a straight line, shackled and chained. Oh, gruesome Gertie is calling my name. There is no mercy in this penitentiary. Just ask the Hillstring Gang or Angola 3. I'm here for life, I'm here to die. Inside these walls, inside the wire. And when the wolf cries, I know it's over. Oh, bloody Angola. Oh, bloody Angola.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bloody Angola, a podcast 142 years in the making, the complete story of America's bloodiest prison. I'm Jim Chapman, and today I'm going to tell you about a former resident of the United States' largest maximum security prison, Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, and for sure one of its most notorious inmates, and that is Lil Boosie, later known as Boosie Badazz. Now, Lil Boosie did not start out being named Lil Boosie, of course. His given name is Torrance Hatch Jr. He was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This was on November 14th of 1982, and he grew up on the rougher side of Baton Rouge, to put it mildly. The neighborhood he grew up in, it was notorious for its struggles with guns and violence. And he also had to deal with the struggle of losing his father at a very early age in life. And that, coupled with the crime-ridden neighborhood that Boosie grew up in, this would shape a lot of the subject matter as it related to his music, his chosen craft, which was hip-hop/rap. At the age of 14, Boosie had a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel, if you will, when he moved in with his grandmother. And that would provide him some stability. She would hold Boosie accountable, as grandmothers typically do. And that's something he wasn't used to in his life up to that age. So Boosie's music career, it began in the late 1990s. He joined what's known as a hip-hop collective concentration camp, and it was led or mentored by a guy from Baton Rouge. It was another rapper known as C-Lop, and his cousin was Young Bleed, who coincidentally just recently died of a brain aneurysm. This is all over the news right now. So Boosie, he starts mastering his craft of hip-hop rap, and he puts out his first album, his debut. And that debut album was titled as Youngest of Da Camp, D-A, Da Camp. And this was in the year 2000. And Boosie, at that point in his life, was 17 years old. Young guy to be releasing his first album. Now, that first album, it's going to perform very well, considering this was an independent label. This wasn't Sony Records or Death Row Records or Bad Boy Records, Diddy's label. This was an independent label out of the state of Louisiana. And he actually sold 10,000 albums, which was looked at as a pretty significant achievement. 10,000 albums, independent label, you're going to get people noticing your work. And it wasn't long after that music labels would indeed start to notice. And in 2001, he would sign with a larger label known as Trill Entertainment. Much larger, much more well-known label. And when you sign with these bigger labels, the advantage the artist gets from that is you now have resources to promote you. You got a lot of money behind you. And a lot of times they have mentorships inside those bigger labels. You deal with larger artists than yourself. They give you tips, things like that. And that's a big part of it because these larger labels, when they see that you got talent, they know that you're going to need some mentorship in your life. And they're hoping that someone else can help carry you along. And anything in the music world, not much different than the podcast world. It's about expanding your reach and getting your name out there. And with this larger label, Boosie was able to do that. Now, at this point in time, rap, hip hop, different parts of the country had some very different styles during this time. The sound in New York, Diddy's world, was completely different than the sound of Los Angeles, Tupac Shakur's world. And that was completely different with what would become known as Southern hip hop. And that would become Boosie's forte. So Boosie, he would continue on with Trill Entertainment. He would release several other albums, with each subsequent album becoming more successful than the one prior to it. Eventually, that would lead to an even larger label taking notice, and that was Universal Records. And all of us have heard of Universal. And it was in 2005 that Boosie would sign a major label deal with Universal and also launch one of his biggest hits, which we all know, Set It Off. I wish I could play it right here, but I can't. But everybody knows Set It Off, even if you're not a hip-hop fan. Now, this time in Boosie's life also allowed for collaboration with major high-profile artists in the hip-hop community. And people would start to compare Boosie to the great in his industry. Tupac Shakur, he would get compared with Tupac a lot, and let me tell you, don't get any better than that. But Boosie was not without his issues. And early on in the 2000s, he did get arrested multiple times on drug-related charges, mainly marijuana-related issues. However, in 2009, Boosie was arrested after East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's deputies found marijuana and a Glock in his car. Boosie pleaded guilty to his third offense, possession of marijuana. This was on September 22nd of 2009, and he gets sentenced to 2 years in prison the next day. Judge Chip Moore actually doubled the sentence on November 9th of that year after finding out Boosie had violated probation while awaiting his sentencing. Between his plea and his sentencing, Boosie was electronically monitored and placed under house arrest. And there was some chatter, I don't know if this is legit or not, that he tampered with his monitor, but there you have it. Then, after that, the major issues surfaced when on June 17th of 2010, Boosie was indicted on charges of the first-degree murder of Terry Boyd. Now, he also faced 3 counts of possession with intent to distribute narcotics, 3 counts of conspiracy to commit possession with the intent to distribute narcotics, and 2 counts of conspiracy to introduce contraband into a penal institution, meaning he tried to bring drugs into prison. And through his people, Boosie issued a statement saying he was innocent of the charges. Of course, you would expect that. Now, District Attorney Hiller Moore stated that the killing of Boyd, remember, he's indicted on charges of first-degree murder in the murder of Terry Boyd. District Attorney Hiller Moore of Baton Rouge said that this killing seemed to be a turf war of sorts, and if convicted, Boosie could have faced the death penalty in this case. So he had a lot to worry about. First-degree murder in the state of Louisiana does qualify for the death penalty. Prosecutors also stated they believe the rapper may have been involved in at least 5 other murders. So on June 28th of 2010, Boosie enters a not guilty plea in a Louisiana courtroom, and of course, you expect that. You got nothing to lose to plead not guilty at an arraignment. In the meantime, in 2011, remember those drug charges? Well, those cases caught up to Boosie, and he's sentenced to 8 years in prison. Now, he still had that murder case for Terry Boyd to deal with. And in 2012, get this, he actually beats that case. The jury came to a unanimous not guilty verdict on the murder charge, and they only deliberated about 10 minutes. You don't see that often when a prosecution brings a case to trial. So while that's great for Lil Boosie, I mean, he beat a first-degree murder charge and a possible death penalty. I don't think they would have went after him for the death penalty in that case. I think they would have went for life in prison. But regardless, it was possible. He beat that sumbitch, but he was still in prison on drug-related charges, and it was off to Louisiana State Penitentiary to serve that sentence, or to complete serving that sentence.
Jim, did you see what happened in Texas today?
Wait, before you tell me that, let me tell you what happened in New York.
It cannot be as crazy as the case I told you about yesterday in Louisiana.
You know what? We should do a podcast about it.
And with that, we did. Crime Wire Weekly covers the crime news headlines that have dominated the week.
We cover trending crimes from all over the country and even sprinkle in a few globally.
Crime Wire Weekly is available now wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Simply by searching Crime Wire Weekly or clicking the link in the description of this podcast.
In the sultry heat of Louisiana, where the bayous whisper secrets and the air hangs heavy with the scent of magnolias, a darkness lurked beneath the surface. Derek Todd Lee was a man whose charm masked a sinister reality. He was a monster. Lee, a seemingly ordinary man with a disarming smile, led a double life that would unravel in a series of murders in the capital city of Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas. As the first reports of disappearances and murders began to surface, South Louisiana was thrust into a nightmare, igniting a frantic search for answers. The true horror was just beginning, and the hunt for a serial killer, eventually known by just 3 letters, would reveal not only the depths of Derek Todd Lee's depravity, but also the resilience of those most affected by his evil acts, the families and the survivors. This is DTL.
So Boosie goes off to prison, and he's obviously a very popular person outside of the prison and guaranteed inside bloody Angola as well. He didn't just go to prison. He went to Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, and they knew Boosie was on his way. And you just can't put these high-profile inmates inside of general population with Boosie. They're not going to put him in general population. That just ain't going to work. They'll kill him in there. So Boosie had to spend a lot of his time inside the death row wing at bloody Angola. Essentially, he was locked down during that time. Now, I would imagine he didn't have the restrictions that inmates who were serving death in the death row wing had. I mean, he got to move about his area, I'm sure, a heck of a lot more than being locked down 23 hours a day. And there is some debate, and I don't know the answer to this question. Some people say that he spent a few years inside of the death row and then he got moved into another part of the prison that was general population. I find that hard to believe. I don't think Boosie ever got in just stone cold general population with other inmates. There's a guy that served some time with him. I listened to that interview, and he claims Boosie was locked up the whole time in protective custody. I don't know, but take it for what you will. I do know one thing. There's a lot of props in prison if someone would have took Boosie out. And if I know that, certainly the powers that be in Angola would know that. Now, he also had a lot of time in prison that he was probably not used to having when you're a hard-working rapper and you're always on the road and you're writing music. But he had a lot of time inside bloody Angola. And when you got nothing but time on your hands and you're a rapper, What are you going to do? You're going to write songs, and that's exactly what Lil Boosie did. He actually wrote over 1,000 songs while being locked up inside Louisiana State Penitentiary. So Boosie hasn't said a whole lot about his time in prison in Louisiana State Penitentiary, but he did appear on what's known as The Breakfast Club. This is a radio show. It's actually pretty good. It's recorded out of New York City, and he discussed some of his time inside Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola and some of the things he saw and even some of the things he did while he was there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this clip, but I'm going to give you a couple of, I don't know if I'd call them warnings, but just look, what's about to be said is pretty vulgar. It's life inside a prison, according to Lil Boosie, or Boosie Badazz now. This is his account. I don't know if it's true or not true, but this is his account and his account only. And look, if you're not into vulgar stuff, you probably don't listen to this podcast anyway, but if it doesn't bother you, you're going to get some knowledge out of what it's like to be inside prison, according to Lil Boosie, with this 5-minute clip.
In prison, that's when I kind of was a jack-off machine.
Yeah.
Even the guards, like a guard never ran to the man on me. Like, and I respect every guard who did that because I needed it at that time, They gave me eye contact. Like, they let me get off.
The female guards, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you said the guard, we don't know what you meant.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what?
Nah, like the female guards,
Yeah.
Like, okay, just say if the shower right here, right?
Yeah.
And they have the brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
You looking over the brick wall. You're not supposed to look at that woman. Because she'll go to the man and say you jacking off. But no woman ever ran to the man on me. Like, they'll let me get off. They'll turn around like they writing on a desk.
Yeah.
Motherfucker up. You know what I'm saying? So I respect every woman who did that. Then I used to jack off on the phone with who I was talking to. I used to get off. The warden came, say, Boosie, stop it.
I feel like
Boosie, stop it. They're talking about the phone lady says she can't take it no more.
because they take the calls.
Yeah, they tape all the calls. I already know you taping it. It don't matter. They say, Boosie, you stop it. I wish the girl was here while I was talking. She'll take, bruh. They said they came down there. I thought I was finna get locked up. Big old white boy come down that big. Boosie, stop it.
Man, I forget you was in Angola, boy.
Boosie,
you a blessed person,
it.
Boosie.
I've been in Angola 3 years on death row.
God damn, you blessed.
Oh,
man.
3 years.
I feel like you could do a movie just on prison. I feel like Boosie, you could do a whole movie just on your prison.
Yeah, I saw some shit
story.
in prison. I mean, hey, especially Angola. Angola is the Fed joint is nothing, bro. The Fed, that shit is. Everybody got money in the Fed.
Yeah.
Everybody, ain't nobody. Angola was negative. Everybody mostly negative. It was a lot of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Even death row, everybody finna die, it's negative, Boosie, they got you back on the TV, nigga. You happy I'm on the TV, nigga.
Damn.
I don't know, Boosie. That it's different when I did a couple weeks in the Fed because everybody is more motivation, bro.
Yeah.
It's more motivation, bro. It was like, man, when I walked down on a nigga riding a dick.
I was about to ask you, is that when you saw the cocaine in the shower in Angola?
I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I say, all y'all niggas looking at my pictures for 3 days. Ain't nobody tell me about the cocaine. And when I saw that, bro, I was like, I won't go home.
I watched that video. I show people that video at least twice a year. Am I lying?
Like, bro, nigga was riding a dick backwards. In his riding a dick backwards. I say, man, bro. Bro, my bad, bro. Man, I walked out that motherfucker on shambles.
Reverse cowgirl.
Reverse cowgirl. I say, man, this is sick.
But see, when I first saw the video, the thing that always gets me is you said, after you saw it, you said, man, you got on the phone, you said, you call your mamas.
I
said,
say,
mama,
man,
come get me, mama.
I say, mama, man, go.
Out of everything in jail that can make you call your mom.
Ask him, can I get a bond? I want a bond. I want to get out that because That ain't no place for no, bro. Man, bro.
I show people.
Then
that
I used
video
to
twice
argue
a year.
with. Then I used to get in arguments. I'd be about to fight with dudes who don't think that's nothing wrong with it because they giving a dick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I used to tell them, man, you're gay. You know, but I used to tell them, they be like, nah, nigga, I'm gonna stand up, nigga. I'm fucking him. He's a hoe. You know, and the women not the women, whether, you know, the homosexuals in Angola, they different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can't stand up around you and piss. They have to sit when they piss. You can't call them by a name. They all have a different name. If it's Quentin, it's Qualisha. You know, they do have respect for the men.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to get into it with people when I'm telling them, man, that's not, you thinking you not doing nothing. Like, I don't want you to think that it's cool, like, you know, but you saying it's cool, and you get out there saying that, they gonna say, you a predator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I saw how people come in there, and all these people who
they were taking advantage of the men, basically.
Yes,
bro.
Okay. Yeah, there's all kind of ways. They might put them on Seroquels.
Damn.
Watch a movie with them, put them on Seroquel.
Wow.
Then up that knife on them. What you gonna do? You gonna give it to me or you gonna make me take it?
God,
Jesus.
And they gonna bust that motherfucker over. Bro, these motherfuckers.
You ain't never
sick.
told that side of the story. That's
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's sick, bro.
Yeah.
Then whoever, all these people touching these kids, they waiting on you to come. They got your name. They don't know if you did it or not, bro. They waiting on you to come.
Mm-hmm.
So, bro, they child molesters, they don't.
Well, that's been going on in prison, though. Yeah,
They waiting on you. They got your.
That's right.
When you first catch your charge, they got your name, waiting for you to come up there. And it's, bro, it's sick, bro.
I ain't mad at that if you really did it, though. If you really put your hands on a child, you deserve whatever you get.
Yeah, but I'm just letting the child molesters know so I could tell them to stop fucking with that.
Yeah.
Because when you go up there, the guards are not gonna protect you. They in on it.
Mm-hmm.
He's one right there. They gonna get you. They
That's
gonna
right.
turn that back on you. Go get some coffee.
Damn.
When he come back, you fucked up, bro.
Cocaine in the shower, reverse cowgirl.
I don't want to talk. It's enough.
So there you have it. Some pretty wild freaking stuff. And as I said, I don't have any direct knowledge of any of that, obviously, but that's his story and he's sticking to it. So he gets released from prison in 2014 after serving about 4 years behind bars. There's good time mixed in there and all kinds of stuff. So he didn't obviously serve his whole sentence. Now, during that time, especially toward the end of his sentence, there was a big uproar in the hip-hop community. And fans of hip-hop, they wanted him released. And they actually started what's known as, or what became known at the time as, the Free Boosie movement. Now, fellow artists, activists, you name it, they were calling for Boosie's release, and that did happen 4 years after his incarceration. Now, not necessarily tied to that movement, but certainly around the time. So in some people's mind, hey, this Free Boosie movement did some good. I don't think it had anything to do with it. But he does get out of prison, and let me tell you, he goes off like a rocket in the hip-hop community. He becomes one of the biggest hip-hop artists there is in that time all over the music world, especially hip-hop. Everybody wanted a piece of Lil Boosie, who at this point had changed his name to Boosie Badazz. And life, if it was great before he went into Angola and got incarcerated, it was absolutely unbelievable once he got out. Now, for the most part, it seemed like he was keeping his nose clean. He was doing interviews every now and then. He was focusing on his craft, honing his craft, and everything seemed fine. That is until May of 2023. So Boosie gets pulled over in a vehicle that he was riding in. He wasn't driving the vehicle. He didn't own the vehicle. He's a passenger in the vehicle. And according to Boosie, he didn't know there were 2 firearms inside that vehicle. And he's a convicted felon. Can't have firearms in a vehicle that you're riding in when you're a convicted felon. The San Diego police in California, they pull the driver over with Boosie in the passenger seat. They consent to a search. The police find these 2 guns, and all of a sudden, in 2023, Boosie Badazz got a big problem, a major problem. As I said, he's a convicted felon. That's a violation of his parole, and it also carries new charges, so he would have to serve out his initial sentence that he got paroled for, and then he would have to answer for the new charges. That could mean a lot of time in prison for Boosie. So he was in California at that time to shoot a music video, and then he was going to perform at a nightclub in San Diego in just a bad set of circumstances, according to him. Now, as I said, it wasn't his vehicle. It was someone else's vehicle. The guns supposedly did not belong to him. And initially, the case was dismissed in 2023. I mean, Boosie is a star, upper level A-class star in the hip hop industry. That's also can be a violent industry. It's hard for me to imagine him not having bodyguards and stuff with guns on him. I don't know what the rules are on that. But regardless, in 2023, that case gets dismissed. But in 2024, a new indictment gets issued on those gun charges. And in August of 2025, just a few months ago, he did plead guilty to a single count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. Now, as part of his plea agreement, prosecutors, they recommended to the judge a 2-year sentence followed by 3 years of supervised release. Now, he is scheduled to be sentenced this month. As a matter of fact, November 21st is his sentencing date. Now, usually with these types of cases, the judge will go with the prosecutor's recommended sentence, although they don't have to do that. They just typically do that. I mean, technically, he could get 15 years for this charge, this single charge, but assuming the judge does what's typically done, it looks like he's going to get 2 years in jail for this. Now, he'll probably serve a year or less of actual time. We'll see. But he's up against it with that one. Now, if you're curious, I know I was, Boosie has seen a bit of a jump in his net worth since his release from prison way back in 2014. Now, when going to prison, it was estimated his net worth was between $1 million and $2 million. Now, that figures between $10 and $14 million of net worth, and that's public. That's not his actual. I think it's much higher than that in actuality. But make no mistake, the dude definitely has money, and regardless of that, it looks like he may do at least a little bit of time on this charge, but a very short stint. And look, it's up to him to make sure no one around him has guns on them when he's in a vehicle, etc. And I know the lifestyle he lives, and it's absolutely crazy. But if you're in a car and they can't tie a gun to a particular individual, you're going to go down for it. It looks like here it's more about setting an example of anything else in this situation. But there you have it. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Lil Boosie, Boosie Badazz, and his time inside Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. And look, I got to say, being someone from the Baton Rouge area, I grew up in Baton Rouge. Shout out Broadmoor High School. I know he's had a lot of scrapes with the law, and I don't know a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on with Boosie Badazz, but I can tell you the guy has definitely put in some work to get from where he came from in Baton Rouge to the life he lives now, and I can't do anything but at least respect the business side of what he's done. And I like his music. I mean, if Wipe It Down don't get you fired up, I don't know what will. That's a great song. Thank you so much for listening. It took me a little longer than normal to get this one out. We've been rocking and rolling with a lot of things, not only on Bloody Angola related stuff, but also all the podcasts really that I produce and host and all those sorts of things. Check out DTL. Kelly Jennings tells the story of Derek Todd Lee, the notorious serial killer from the Baton Rouge area. Episode 1, as of this recording, is currently out. Episode 2 is going to be released. It may be released today. It depends on when I get this particular Bloody Angola episode out. But every Monday for the next 4 months, a new episode of DTL is going to be dropped. Every Monday, Kelly Jennings tells that story like no one else. And it's highly produced, got a lot of music behind it, some sound effects. I call it a listening experience. You can find it. Just search Unspeakable, a true crime podcast by Kelly Jennings, wherever you get your podcast. I'll also link her podcast in the description of this podcast. Also check out Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. I talk about just the high profile wild shit that goes on in the United States. They got more money than time and sense, and I break down just the wild shit that they do. Check it out, Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. And thank you again for supporting Bloody Angola. For commercial-free early releases and more, patreon.com/Bloody Angola podcast. Please leave a review if you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman for Bloody Angola, a podcast 142 years in the making, the complete story of America's bloodiest prison. Peace.
I walk a straight line, shackled and chained. Oh, gruesome Gertie is calling my name. There is no mercy in this penitentiary. Just ask the Hill String Gang or Angola